people. I am here with Shenell Thompkins from All One Nurse. We are going to get to know her today. She is a beautiful nurse doing amazing things. And I feel so privileged to have her. She's a nurse mentor and a podcast host. And I know if you're a new grad, you definitely don't want to miss this episode. Welcome, Shenell.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, Miss Casey.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. Well, I have a few questions to ask you so we get to know who you are, but I just wanted to get a flavor of your thought process and the depth that you have. Is it okay
Yes,
if I
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Fly off.
Okay. So you've been a nurse for a while, and I wanted to ask you, what's a piece of advice you would give to your younger self, whether it be your younger self before you were a nurse or just your younger self in life in general? What holds deeply for you?
Oh, man. That's a good question, Casey. So I think I would tell my younger self, be good to my body, um, and learn from other people's experience
Mhm.
because experience is costly. And so to learn from others' experience and to be good to my body because
Oh,
that's what's going to take me into the long run, take me down the long haul, the long road. Yeah.
as nurses, we need that. We should clip that one right there. That is beautiful. Take care of your body. Be
Yes, ma'am.
to learn from other people. Such good advice. Now,
Yeah.
another question I have for you. As a nurse, you are doing your part to transform healthcare in any little way that you can, right?
I'm trying. I'm
so,
trying.
so if money, time, networks, if you had no barriers to transform healthcare, what will you tackle? What's
Oh,
the first
man.
thing you would do? It's a big question.
Oh, man, that is a very complex question. But just like NCLEX, in the ideal world, what would I do
Mhm.
um, to make healthcare better? Is
Yes,
that the question?
yes,
Okay.
that's really good. Mhm.
Well, of course, access to healthcare for everyone would be
Mhm.
a big thing. If money was not a issue, then I would think of more holistic ways, more preventative measures, so that we don't even have to need treatment because we're more about prevention, taking care of our bodies. Again, going back to I am what I eat, and so just providing access to healthier food options.
Mhm.
Um, Providing education. So all the things to build a community. I think that would be my first step to making healthcare better because then we won't have to depend on it as much if we had the resources and the education to take care of ourselves better. I hope I answered that.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's always amazing when I ask that question because we look at healthcare the way it is and we act like we're stuck. But everybody has a different answer, but it all is valid. So thank
Yes,
you for sharing. Thank you.
yes,
The
yes.
next question I had prepared for you, you work a lot with new nurses. What
Mhm.
is the most powerful awareness you think a new nurse can have?
Oh my God. Accountability.
Ooh,
Accountability.
break that down for me.
Yes, accountability. And I've actually listened to you talk about accountability. And I was just telling even my own sister about how I love how you brought it home, talking about accountability. And if you're not accountable, even if you don't have anyone to be accountable to, just being accountable to the divine, right?
Yes.
Just period, just being accountable. So I think I would tell new nurses just be accountable for yourself no matter your why, whether you came into nursing because your heart is in it, you want to be compassionate, you want to pour into others and serve with patience, that's great because I feel like nursing is a calling for me. But you also have where nursing chose them, right? Or they just chose nursing because of financial reasons to better their own lives. And if that's the case, you still have to be mindful that someone else's life is in the midst of what we do as nurses. And so you have to be accountable for how you take care of individuals, how you learn the not how you obtain the education that is required, the knowledge that's required to go out here and make sound judgment, clinical decisions to help take care of patients safely. So we have to be accountable even to ourselves, and going into nursing. The code of ethics, like the code of ethics for nursing, like we have to hold ourselves accountable, even when you get out there as a new nurse and they don't do it the way that the organization has set up their policies and procedures to do it, because the policies and procedures and their guidelines are to keep the patient safe, to
Mhm.
keep your not even, I can't even say they're protecting your license, but they are if they're keeping the patient safe.
Yeah.
And so you have to hold yourself accountable even when others don't, regardless of what you may experience on the unit. Because with new nurses, it's not about the healthcare system as a whole. It's
Mhm.
about their experiencing right there at the bedside on that first unit that they applied to or got the opportunity to work with other individuals coming out of nursing school. So that experience is what make or break their their perspective on what nursing is. And I tell new nurses all the time, that's one unit, that's one hall
Mhm.
midst of a large organization. So before you say, I'm done, and you walk out on that organization, you're saying that you're giving up on so much more because of your experience with one person or a team of people on one hallway.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know, as you're speaking, my mind just raced to this thought of accountability, because
Mhm.
so many times when we use it in nursing, it's so directed towards the patient and your license in caring for the patient. But as you were talking, I was thinking, wow, accountability is so profound, because if you're accountable to yourself, you will make sure that you take care of yourself as
Yes,
well. You also,
yes,
if you're accountable to the divine, you'll also make sure that you are landing the jobs and the positions that really maximize and bring out the best
yes.
and the highest talent that you have.
Yeah,
And sometimes we leave jobs and positions and we're all angry they're not treating me right, but it might just not be the environment for you to flourish and do
yeah.
your purpose. So
Yes, yes.
accountability is deep.
Yes, it is. It is. And in that, I always say too, um, just going back to even my background, I've been nursing for a little bit over 15 years,
Mhm.
and I've worked in progressive care, which is like ICU step down. And I can remember going from one organization that had a lot of teamwork, or a unit that I worked on that had a lot of teamwork. And then I get to another unit, another progressive care team, and everybody's doing their job, but nobody's working as a team. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go in here and do my job too. Then I'm just gonna work and go home. But it was like God told me, like, Chanel, you're not even made up that way,
Yeah.
because I'm so team oriented. And I
Mhm.
in one, like, the whole unit is my every patient is my patient if I'm working on that unit.
Yeah.
Period. Even I have my assignment. And so in doing so, it was like just stay in position. And because I didn't change to fit the environment changed because of what I had to bring to it.
Yes.
And so
And
it just worked
sometimes
out.
sometimes that's why you're sent to certain environments.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we feel like, man, I don't fit in, or nobody likes me, or I just feel like the odd one out. But
Mhm.
sometimes your energy, your presence, your
Yeah.
skill set is exactly what that environment needed.
What they need. Yeah.
That's the, this thought about accountability. Now, you work after being a nurse for 15 years. I'm sure you have had a lot of different experiences. Now
Mhm.
you're looking back and you're being accountable to the next
Yeah.
generation of nurses, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
how do you serve them? How do you serve the younger generation?
So let's talk a little bit about all one nurse and how it came to be. Um, so during 2020, which was a time that I think a lot of people had to figure some things out,
Mhm.
I was actually in CVICU, and God had blessed me to have my rainbow baby. So I was a teenage mom, and so I decided to go into nursing school, through the grace of God and my family support. Hey,
Mhm.
went through it, did what I needed to do. So fast forward 2020, me and my husband don't have any children, and so we had issues. So come 2020, I'm at home with my rainbow baby, and I'm like, God has a sense of humor. You have a sense of humor. But watching all the nurses out there working, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to pour into them. So that's when All One Nurse came about. And I started to blog about just nursing and being your best self and wanting nurses to be truly all one nurse, to be the best version of themselves in every area of their lives. And so in doing so, I also got the opportunity to become a podcast host with nurse.org. And I'm so grateful for them. I entered a competition and actually made the top 10 out of like 70 applicants. And so that was such a blessing. And that showed me in that experience that, hey, podcasting was a good way to get even speak to a broader audience, right? And in trying to maintain all one nurse, it could get expensive. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I have to get into the entrepreneurial side of things because it was never my intention. Like, I don't want a business. I just want to share the knowledge that I have to share. I just want to be a vessel. And
Yeah.
so in learning the entrepreneurial side of things, I was like, okay, I have to niche down
Mm-hmm.
and I have to really speak to a small group. And so who's the most vital group of nurses that I can really pour into? And that is our new nurses, our next gen nurses. And it all flows together because in 2020, I also transitioned from CVICU into a staff development role. So I'm
Oh,
also a nurse staff development specialist for organization, and I help oversee orientation for critical care and neuro ICU as well, but critical care nonetheless for new nurses. And so that is why I really want to pour into new nurses because I speak to them all the time. And
yeah.
so I find myself trying to just guide them outside of just learning and having all the paperwork that's needed or necessary for the organization, right?
Mhm. Yes.
But also to make sure that they are truly thriving and not just surviving. And if
Okay.
and if they are surviving, that's okay, but let's talk about it. How
Yeah.
are you surviving? Let's get up under the table,
Mhm.
right? Let's figure out how are you doing and talk to me, creating that safe space and the opportunity for them to just talk. And a lot of times they have to hear themselves.
That's true. That's true.
They have to hear themselves and know that, hey, you're not alone. And so with the podcast, I let other nurses get on and tell their nursing stories. And because of that, they learn a lot about the different nursing backgrounds that they could do as a nurse, whether it's mental health, whether it's CRNA, being a CRNA, critical care, like all the things.
Yeah,
And in addition to that, they get that opportunity to know again that they're just not alone. They are not alone and we're here for them. Yeah.
absolutely. That's so beautiful. I love your podcast. I love the space that you have created, the platform, inviting other nurses on. I, if someone's listening to this and they want to access your podcast, where would they find it?
Oh, they can go to allonenurse.com and that's www.allnurse, no, nurse.com. Because every time I say it into like Siri or something, it says it all wrong. So
Okay.
yeah, allonenurse.com and you can do /podcast and it'll take you right to the podcast website.
Perfect,
Yes.
perfect. A question I wanted to ask you. Now, not all mentor is the same. Not all mentors are the same. Not all. Sometimes you can be a sponsor for someone in the organization, helping a younger nurse really get into positions or the
Yeah.
training that they need. What is some advice you would give to maybe a new nurse who wants to progress, who feel like they're at a stalemate and they just don't have that leadership or mentorship on site? What are some qualities should they look for in a mentor, a leader, a sponsor um,
Mhm.
to help them progress in this field?
I would tell them now we have so many different platforms.
Mhm.
Of course, you have me with All One Nurse, and I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the social media platforms. And when it comes to working in the healthcare space, and there's always usually one person. There's
Mhm.
usually one person that even though they may not be precepting them, they see the qualities that makes them and makes that person into the compassionate, competent nurse that they are. And
Mhm.
so when they actually identify nurses like that, don't be afraid to approach them and have a conversation with them or ask them questions. Because I always say there's power in hello. Power in hello.
You
Just
have to put that one.
yeah,
That there is
yeah,
power in hello. That's
yes,
deep. That's
yeah,
very deep.
yeah. So
Let's
just
get high. We don't want to get out of our zone. We don't want to get out of our comfort zone. Someone tells us hello and we run away.
yes, yes. So power and hello, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, or somewhere in between, just simply saying hello when you walk into a room, it already sets the tone that, hey, I am open
Yeah.
enough to say, I see you
Yes.
and I'm here, or I'm here.
Oh,
And that makes a big difference. You know, I say that a lot when I'm speaking to new nurses or new staff.
mhm.
And I tell them there's power in hello. If I come into a break room and I speak, and then I'm out on the unit and I'm getting report, and then I ask you to do something, you're probably gonna receive it better because I just saw you and I spoke to you versus I didn't say anything to you, but now I need you to do something.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's just power in hello, and I tell them all the time, introduce yourself. Hey,
Mhm.
I'm Shenell. I'm new on the unit.
Yes.
Read their names. Hey,
Yes.
Dr. So and so, Dr. Smith. I'm Shenell. I'm a new nurse. I'm here. I'm so glad to be here. I just wanted to introduce myself.
Yes.
So, therefore, he gets to know your voice when you're on nights and you have to call him 4 or 5 in the morning
That's
and
true.
saying, "Hey, Dr. Smith, this Chanel, remember me?" And they're probably like, "Yeah, I remember you," but they're gonna remember you,
Ye
right?
yes.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Chanel, I've been a nurse. It's been 14 years. It's gonna be 15 years soon.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation and they say, nursing has changed. The nurses aren't the same. And I remember when I was in nursing school, I would look at nurses who I thought was the way I would like to be as a nurse.
Yes.
It's sustainable nursing. And I
Yes.
would look and see what they did, how they moved. And I think now, even after COVID, you're seeing a generation like our generation, where we've been nurses not maybe 30 or 40 years, but we've been
Yeah.
nurses over a decade, and we have altered and shifted the way we do things. What would you tell what would you tell a nurse who is sort of burnt out and is really, because sometimes you see them on social media and they're not saying the most positive things to the newer nurses.
Yeah.
What would you say to a nurse who is hearing that, a new nurse who's hearing the negativity? Don't go into their profession.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Don't do that. What would you say?
I would say be mindful of what you allow your ears to hear and allow your eyes to see.
Mhm.
You know, I've heard a pastor say that the God you see is the God that you get.
I believe that.
What you see on that unit, what you decide to see on that unit is what you're going to get.
Yes.
And so, and I always tell them this too, do not let others rob you of what is meant to be a different experience for you.
Mm,
You cannot speak to that person's character, that person's perspective. But if you take their perspective, you're going to get the same outcome that they're getting.
ooh,
So you have to create your own perspective. Let people show you who they are for themselves.
yeah.
And if this person goes on this unit, if they're having a negative if they're negative,
Mhm.
that's a them problem.
Yes.
And just like being anxious could be contagious,
Mhm.
negativity can be contagious. But guess what? Happiness is contagious
Yeah,
too. A
it is.
calming spirit is contagious too. I
Yes.
walked into a code recently and they were like, "You were just so calm." But in that, guess what? Everybody else, it calmed everyone else down. So do not let others create a narrative for you based off their own perspective. That's what I would tell them. And don't let other people rob you. I had someone giving me advice on why or why not to go to CVICU when I was ready to make that transition. And then I thought about it. You're not even working in CVICU.
It
So let me try this for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I know you say you have to narrow down and
Yeah.
niche down, but what I see also, sometimes you could be a new old nurse, meaning that you've been a nurse for a long time,
Yeah.
but then you maybe you switch where you're working, or
Mhm.
you switch, to a different hospital or unit or whatever, and you
Mhm.
become like a new nurse, and you have
Yes.
those new nurse qualities and
Yes.
experiences just all over again.
Yes. I say keep living. And one thing about nursing, we're always moving from novice to experience, right? To expert.
Yes,
Because for one, technology and innovations in healthcare is not going to let you stay at an expert level. We are always learning. Let the charting system change. Guess what? You just became a novice again.
there you go. There you go.
And so we have to have grace with one another, and we always got to stay open minded, keep our head on a swivel, and go in with I always go in with the mindset of, I get to do this. I get to do this, but I'm mindful of everyone who's not as happy go lucky as me early in the morning. I done already had 3 cups of coffee. I'm speaking. I believe if I could have like things flowing from me, it'll be flowers and hearts and all the good things. But I know that's not everybody's reality.
Yes, yes.
And so I know I also have situational awareness where I do try to see people for who they are. And I know not to speak to some people till after 9 and they've had a couple of cups of coffee. But by
Yeah,
9:30, they're ready for the smile from Chanel. But
yeah.
before then, I know not to invade on their space.
Oh man.
But it just takes that wanting to get along with others, come in with a positive mindset. And I forgot where we were going with the question, but I hope that I spoke to it.
It's okay. I think you did. I think you did. And your presence, your positivity is really, sometimes I really feel for the nurses, because sometimes the newer nurses, they may be paired with a nurse that may not be so positive or cheery about the
Mhm.
profession or where they
Yeah,
are. And they get that. And sometimes they're looking for a mentor or just to hear
yeah,
different aspects. So what you're doing is so beautiful.
yeah,
Leads perfectly into my last question for you.
yeah.
What would you like your impact and your legacy in this nursing profession to be?
Oh man. Um, First and foremost, let me speak to something that you just said.
Mhm.
When, as a new nurse, if you have a preceptor who is not nice, they're not kind, just like scripture says, basically chew the meat and spit out the bones. Take what you can from them. Learn what to do and also learn what not to do, because ultimately you're accountable for you as an individual, right? You can't control and don't and a lot of times, just like having a mean auntie, she may be mean, but a lot of times you might like that auntie a lot better because you know that she is going to hold you to a certain standard.
Yes, yes.
So you also have to look at the good that comes with having someone who may not be socially positive. Like, but if they hold you to a certain standard or to the standard, you can really take that and say, okay, she's not friendly, but I know she's making me into a great nurse, or I'm learning what not to do when I get out on my own.
So I gotta jump in there because it's on my. So recently, I said to my team, I sent this message, right? Because we're positive people, and I love giving commendation.
Mhm.
And commendation, especially for the new nurse, they love it. It makes them feel confident.
Yeah.
But what I said is, even with an abundance of commendation, what grows your confidence is actually not commendation; it's competence. So
Yeah.
sometimes your
Yeah.
manager or your preceptor, they may be hard on you. They may be having you dot those I's and cross
Yeah.
those T's. But when you get out of that situation, you realize, wow, I'm really competent, and my
Yes.
confidence is on my competence, not
Yeah.
somebody just saying, good job, good
That
job.
part,
You
that
know?
part, I tell them they should always ask for constructive feedback. A
Mhm.
person that does not give you constructive feedback, you probably need somebody else to train you,
Yeah.
because You don't want to get through your orientation. Then they say, well, we're having these issues and nobody told you. No, tell me if I need to work on my communication skills across the board with family, with patients, with my peers. Let me know. If I have something in my nose, let me know, right?
No.
Let me know.
Yes.
But yes, and then your question, can you repeat your question, your last question for me?
What would you like your legacy or your impact to be on the nursing profession?
I always tell people I'm just a vessel. I'm just a vessel. Because, like they say with Maya Angelou, people may not remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
I think that's me. I don't want any glory,
Mhm.
but I do just want to provide a space that I know people are supported, that I move in a way that I move with integrity
Mhm.
and I held a standard
Mhm.
because I don't want to be so professional that it misses
Yeah.
everybody. And I'm
Mhm.
only talking to other professionals. That does nobody any good.
Mhm.
But I also don't want to play too much to where now you don't take me seriously.
Yes. Yes.
But what I do want to be is authentic and I do want to be myself. And
Mhm.
I do want to bring this standard to where they say, oh, you know what? When I think about Shenell, I think about doing things the right way,
Mhm.
doing things right when nobody is looking. And I think about, hey, let me take care of myself because what would Shenell say? Shenell say, girl, you better get up. You better drink some water. You need to pray,
Yes.
fill your cup,
Yes.
and so that everything that flows from it is
Mhm.
for everyone else because what's in our cups is for us. And I say this because I'm not perfect. And so I don't want people to look up at me. I
Mhm.
want people to be with me in saying that, hey, we are going to move together. We are going to thrive together in this healthcare space because the healthcare system, we want to change it, want to change it. It starts with us.
It
We
does.
are the healthcare system.
We are.
So that's the impact I want to leave that people, when they think of healthcare, they think of themselves.
Yeah.
How did I show up today when I spoke with that difficult family member? How did I show up in advocating for that patient? How did I show up in HR? Because you may not be, it's more than nurses that run healthcare.
It's
How did
true.
I show up in handling this issue with the employee,
Mhm.
with management? How did I show up in leading and serving those who I'm basically in a position to steward?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, it's like, how do we hold each other again accountable?
Accountable.
How do we hold each other accountable? But that's I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Just really being a vessel to provide the means and the space for
Mhm.
us to thrive as individuals. And in my profession, particularly nurses and new nurses within 18 months of their profession, because a lot of them, they need the guidance. They need the safe space to just be and to not be judged, but to also be held accountable.
Mhm.
So I'm not judging you when you make a bad decision. I'm not judging you when you make a mistake because we all need grace. But what
Mhm.
I am saying is, okay, let's process it. Go ahead and speak on it. I'm a sounding board. But what I also want to do is, okay, where do we go from here in a
Mhm.
way that's positive?
Love it. I
Yeah.
love this. I love that. I love that you're so willing to be used as a vessel.
Mhm.
I think of the vessels that are coming up now is a little bit different. Where before we had all this education and we had all these training and we were just cerebral, telling people what we know and what we studied and
Yeah.
our education. But now it's more like an embodiment. It's a more
Yeah.
like this is what I did. I almost burnt out, and this is how I learned how to integrate with the
Yes.
environment so that I could be sustainable with a
Yes.
joy as a nurse.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you are the embodiment of where they not just learn, but they see you in your joy. So
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
platform, doing your work. Now, do you work with nursing, new nurses one-on-one in the coaching space, or is it mainly just the podcast?
So, my goal right now is just to streamline the podcast. I do have an All One Nurse community, a private community on Facebook.
Okay.
I tell people on my social media platforms, particularly TikTok, and I think it's All One Nurse underscore Shenell, but I tell them DM me. If it's something kind of private, DM me. I just want to have I want to be here for them. And initially I'm not thinking about dollar signs, but I also know I'm learning the business aspect.
Yes.
That's for one. But to have to keep doing what I'm doing, I also have to learn the business aspect of it, which is good. So therefore, I'm a novice in a lot of areas right now. So
Yes.
they're not alone, and and that's one thing I let them know. Like I'm very transparent in a way that's still, again, a professional way, but they also want to know that you're human too.
Yes.
So just
Yes.
let them know that I'm human. So yes, the All One Nurse private Facebook community, and they can also just find the podcast on Apple
Mhm.
Podcasts, and Spotify, some of the
Right.
major podcast platforms. Um, yeah, and I'm
Well,
here for them.
this
Yeah.
is beautiful. I love your work. Thank you so much for making yourself available to serve this very, very important next generation of nurses.
Yes.
Nurses, you
Yes.
hear Chanel, you got to
Yes.
get to see how she's authentic. I think just as what you see is what you get in real
Yes,
life.
it is.
So reach out, cue into her podcast, subscribe to her podcast, follow her page. And if you have any, this is primarily on LinkedIn. So if you want a connection, you say, Casey, I want a warm introduction, message me and I'll introduce you to her if you're a little bit scared. But I just wanted to bring this beautiful, valuable person in our community out for the world to see around the world. Thank you, Chanel. We'll catch you
Thank you.
next time.
Thank you so much for having me, Casey.